should take our lights down?
No, after 2020, I'm giving up. I'm just gonna leave them on all year.
Okay.
I mean, the Grinch just personifies how I feel about all of last year.
Okay.
All right, so I have Christmas Lights, a card game, holiday fun for the whole family on the table here. This is a card game for 2 to 6 players, ages 6 and up, from 25th Century Games. And obviously it has a Christmas theme to it. This is a simple card game in which players are going to be racing, trying to build a pattern of light bulbs before other players get their patterns finished. You do get a player aid in this game, and we'll come back to this to reference how a turn works, but to set up the game, you're going to make sure that you have these character cards dealt out to every player, making sure that you include the Santa Claus character, because whoever receives Santa Claus is going to be the first player. And then you will make sure that everyone receives 2 of these pattern cards, which these pattern cards look like this. And you will receive 2 of them. You'll want to keep them face down away from all the other players, but you can rotate these to where either the yellow bulb in this instance is starting or the green bulb is starting. And then you can also move these back and forth to determine which card is going to be first. So you get to kind of pick and choose where you want to start. And once you've started that way, though, that's kind of the direction you're going. So, for instance, if I play down a purple card, then I'm going to want to play yellow next because I have to build this pattern. And in this case, I'm going to keep it like that, for instance. And then everyone's going to get 5 cards dealt to them. Now, when you get 5 cards, you are going to hold these cards to where only you can only see the back of the cards. You're going to hold them facing away from you. And what this means is that you don't know anything about your cards. You're going to know everything about everyone else's cards, though. Now, what they are seeing is like this, because you're holding your cards facing out, and so they'll be able to see your cards. Now, most of these cards come in the light bulb variety, and so you can see here that I have a blue light bulb. There's also red and green. There's also pink, yellow, and purple. There are a few other cards in the game. We have broken bulbs, and what broken bulbs do, they can replace any color of light bulb. However, you do have to eventually come back to the broken bulb and play the correct color card on top of it. So it's just a temporary placeholder that allows you to continue on down your strand. And then we have the plug-in card. We'll come back to what this card does here in a minute. There's one other type of card that you need to know, and that is this special bubble bulb card, which it can be a wild. It can replace any bulb, and you don't have to come back later and place the correct bulb on top of it. This is a wild card. Something special does happen when you play these cards, though. You can see there's a lightning bolt in the corners, and that is to remind you that you do have to draw an event card. And these event cards change up the game a bit. They can be things such as light switch. Each player may draw a bulb card, look at it, and put it into their hand. So that's a good thing for everyone. There is a lump of coal. You must reveal your current pattern card to the other players. So sometimes it's not such a good thing, especially when you get the power outage card. In your turn, immediately do not refill your hand. That's really bad. So some of these are good, some of these are not so good. But back to what we're doing on our turn. So on your turn, you are going to be able to do all of these steps, any or all of these steps. You can skip them, but once you skip them, you cannot come back to them. So you have to do them in this order. The first step is to play 1 or more cards from your hand into your string. And so you have to follow the pattern that is on your card here. And again, remember, you are not holding them facing you, you are holding them facing away. So you kind of have to get some information about your cards first before you can do this step. If you happen to know, or you just get lucky and you say, I think this is a green bulb because I'm starting with green, and you flip it over and sure enough it's green, then you're going to lay it down in front of you like so, and then you can go on to the next bulb. And if you thought you had a red bulb, you could play that card again, or you could just simply say, nope, I'm done with the play step, I'm going to move on. If instead you flipped over a card, oh, it is red, let's say that I did that, and then I would need a blue, and I flipped over another card, and it's the broken bulb. Well, like I said earlier, you can place down the broken bulb and say, yes, that's a blue, but eventually you have to come back later on and play a blue on top of it. And anytime that you play a card that's not the type of card that you need, your turn ends, you have to discard that card, you lose it, and you're not allowed to continue on down the line. So there's a little bit of a penalty there if you are wrong. But any card that you get right, you leave up here in front of you like so. The next thing you could do is you could swap. So it says here you can swap a card in your hand with a card of your choice from another player's hand. They cannot refuse that. That is something that you just you're allowed to do. The third thing you could do is to sell one or two cards from your hand. You put them face up on the table to trade with other players for information about your hand. So if these are my cards, I could say, well, I'm going to sell this card right here. And then I would turn it over. Oh, no, it's a bubble card. And I would put it face up in the table, and then I would pick one of the other players at the table, and I would ask them a yes or no question about one or all of the cards still in my hand. I could say, hey, this card right here, is it a pink light bulb? And they would either choose to answer or not answer. If they choose to not answer, they're not going to get the card that I'm selling. If they choose to answer, they have to be honest. They have to tell me yes or no. And once they do that, then they can claim this card right here. I could be creative. I could ask other things. I could say, do I have any pink? Rather than, is this card pink? I could ask, do I have any plugs? I can ask anything I want, but it has to be yes or no. After you have done the first three, then you are always going to do the last one, which is to refill your hand back up to 5 cards, unless, of course, you have more than 5 cards. You won't do that. And then that's really pretty much the game. The only thing I need to explain is that once you've completed your first card, before you can go on to your second pattern card, you do have to have played one of these plug-in cards to complete the pattern. So I would need a pink card, obviously, and then a yellow card. But then once I have that yellow card, I could play my plug-in right there, and now I could start on this card. And I could begin either with a purple or a pink. And that's pretty much the gist of the game. The first player to complete both of their cards is the winner. You do complete out the rest of the round, getting back to the start player who had the Santa Claus, and then the game is over. And if you're the only person who has built both of your pattern cards, then you are the winner of Christmas Lights. Let's go back up top. All right, so here's Sam and I and our 2 oldest doing a 4-player playthrough of Christmas Lights. And we wanted to show a 4-player playthrough because the box does say that this game is for ages 6 and up. And Anna, our second oldest, there in the far right corner, is 6. And so we wanted to talk about this a little bit, how it works with kids. Locke actually won this game that you're watching here. And so he is 8 years old, and so it works just fine with him. I think he understood this game. However, our daughter, Anna, she really struggled with it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would agree with the 6-year-old age range. I really think 8 and above would probably be more appropriate.
Yeah.
But it just depends on your kid, too.
Yeah, exactly. I think with her, she didn't really understand the concept of needing to play your lights in order and also having to remember where your cards were. I think that was just a little too advanced for her.
A little too much to remember at one time.
Yeah, I agree. Also, you can see that for our 2 kids, we have their cards not in their hands. We had them on card trays that we 3D printed for another game that we just brought over into this game so that they wouldn't have to constantly hold their hand, as that is kind of tiring.
Yeah.
And it's a little difficult for young little hands to do, and so we just had them in these little card racks, which you may want to do if you're playing with young kids. Now, to talk about the game itself, I'll go first, and I'll say this is a cute little Christmassy game. It's a holiday festive game, one that you can kind of play to get yourself into the holiday spirit. It's not gonna, it's not going to light any fires of gaming inside of you. It's not, trying to wow you necessarily. It's just a small little game. And, it has some clever mechanics of holding the cards outward, trying to sell your cards to your teammates for more information about what's in your hand. And some interesting ideas here that are running with this game. All of it combined, it's a cute little game that you can play with your 8-year-old and have a decent time with. What did you think about this game, Sam?
Yeah, I thought it was unique in that with the aspect of holding the cards out so you don't know what you have and having to trust the people to kind of lead you to figure out what you have and how to play them. I thought it was really great for our son. And I think our daughter with time would have understood it a little bit better. So it's a fun game. It's pretty easy to understand, pretty simple and fairly quick too. But it is a little bit more complicated than your just average kids card game, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's one that uses some advanced mechanics with the holding the cards outward facing. That's kind of a hard thing to wrap your mind around, somewhat even as an adult,
Yeah.
and let alone for a kiddo. But what would you say on this game as far as the fun or excitement that you had playing it?
I thought it was really fun. I think our son had a lot of fun with it. I think there was a little bit of frustration trying to remember what cards do I have, what do I need to do next, but not in a I don't want to play this. Just in a you
Mm-hmm.
kind of had to figure out what your next move was. You had to think harder than some other kids card games.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I do think there's a little bit of a frustration there that goes into this kind of game. And just you think you know something when you realize maybe you didn't because you misremembered, or another player kind of takes the card that you needed because everybody's battling over that one red bulb and you happen to have it, and before you can play it, somebody steals it
Yeah.
from you. That can be a little frustrating. But again, like you said, it's not anything that breaks the game, ruins the experience, or anything along those lines. Um, Sam, is this a game that you think is one that you would see kind of coming out Christmas after Christmas and kind of being one of those things that gets you in the holiday spirit?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we don't have a ton of holiday themed games. We have one or two for Christmas, and I think that it would be very appropriate to bring that out every year.
Right, right. I would agree with that. All right, so let's get into our ratings for this game. Scale of 1 to 10, love to hate. What do you give this game?
I think I'd give it a solid 7.
Okay. All right. Decent. Decent. I'm going to give this game a 6.2. It's kind of, just a quick little card game. Nothing to write home about, but it is a decent experience that you get to, enjoy the holiday spirit, and you can play it with the whole family and have a good time. So, Sam, is this a game that you think you would recommend for non-gamers?
Oh yeah, I think it's very appropriate for non-gamers, for families, young kids. I think pretty much anybody can enjoy this game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think this is one that introduces some unique ideas that a lot of non gamers probably aren't fully experienced with, such as holding your cards outward and trying to trade to get information about what's in your hand, or just stealing cards and all of that. I think it's kind of a cool way to introduce a new idea to them that's not overly complicated.
Yeah. Okay, so make sure to like and subscribe. Push the bell button so you get notifications of our new content. We're putting out new videos weekly.
All right, there you have it. I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non gamers. We'll catch you next time.